Hi all, it's September 16th, and instead of recording from home today, I decided to record from my favorite coffee house. So you'll have to excuse the noise of cars driving around. Today I'm talking about the mind's eye and the use of miniature figures or VTTs for combat when you play. As I've repeatedly said, my main goal with role-playing games is to maximize the sense of otherworld immersion, for the players to feel strongly unified with their characters in every aspect. And so I've spent many years considering and adopting methods that I think facilitate that goal. All gaming methods have effects on the players. We can usefully return to the primary chimera of role-playing games, that of miniature wargaming and make-believe. The methods that we employ with regards to how miniature figures are utilized steers the player's attention towards one end or the other of that spectrum. I should preface all of this by saying that I absolutely love miniature war games and well-done board games. I've even made a couple which my friends and I have enjoyed through the years. But I don't want those two experiences melded together when I play role-playing games. As I've said before, I love steak and I love cheesecake, but I don't want those two smashed together in a blender to eat as a steak cheesecake soup. Gross. And so let's zoom in on the mental effects of players seeing miniatures and mats, perhaps also the VTT experience, whatever program you're using, as battles going on. I believe that the players looking down on the action from this Archimedean point of view encourages a mindset of miniature wargaming. They're calculating, they're detached. If hexes are used, they can start calculating how far their characters can move or shoot missiles or cast spells and so on. Contrast that experience with a purely descriptive one. So the players don't see any mats, any miniatures, any VTT program that tracks battle. Instead, they're all purely told about the environments and the enemies around them and flashing into them. The PCs and their enemies' actions are only described. So instead of seeing these battles from a lofty, objective stance, which we, of course, have in miniature war games, the players are ushered into the boots of their characters. Real fighting is bedlam. It's a rush of fury and fear. The chaos of you and your allies hacking into your foes before they can do it to you is overwhelming. It's all consuming. When the player's focus is bound up with their characters, when they are standing in the limited perspective of their character's boots rather than looking down from that detached point of view that we have in wargaming, their experience is all the more immersive. This kind of change can even be felt in video games. Compare the feeling of a first-person fighting game with isometric games. In Skyrim, for example, I see the enemy right in front of me, hacking at me as I hack back. And I'm more unified, even though it's a video game, with the plight of my character. But in isometric games with fights, my perspective is more detached. I'm strategizing from that detached point of view. The fights may still be fun, but they are the kind of miniature wargaming fun. As I've discussed before, there is the switching cost, which players have to pay whenever they have to translate the event that they're exposed to with an internal one, an immersive one. And so if you're using miniatures and battle mats or VTT programs during the fights, they can have those fights, see everything as it actually is, and then translate it into the immersive first-person experience. But this method of concealing all the miniature figures from the players diminishes the switching cost. it allows their mental focus to be purely on the perspective of their characters. And of course, it's important to note that I'm not advocating not using miniature figures. Like everything else, I believe that mechanics and the objective reality of a fight really does matter. And the use of miniatures or anything else is a great tool. But this shift has the GM using them behind the screens, or in the case of BTT, in a way that the players cannot see it. When I'm GMing a battle, I set up the miniatures for the PCs and their enemies behind my screens, tracking everyone's location. I see the distances, the movements. I know if someone's getting flanked or surrounded, and so on. Making this change, of course, does require the GM to be more descriptive than they may have been in the past. We can no longer rely on everyone just looking at the table and seeing the objective reality. So I rely to the players what their characters see, hear, and feel. My experience with this has been a clearly powerful one. It really does help the players to feel more united with their characters' predicament. The players are not mentally engaged with the standard mechanics or logistics you would expect of a general calculating and commanding for the army. Battle is a grim, immediate, bloody struggle against death, where the player's focus is drawn during this conflict has a tangible effect over their experience. In my last video, I discussed gamers being willing to slay their sacred cows, and the use of miniatures or VTTs may very well be a sacred cow for many gamers. But instead of just dismissing this notion of pulling miniatures behind the screens, try and view it as a valuable tool if your group's desire is along the same lines as mine. We really do want the players to feel immersed with their characters. After multiple battles, hiding all the miniatures and using pure descriptions, have discussions with your group and see if they really do feel the same difference that I'm describing. All right, that's all for today. I appreciate any comments you can make below, and I'll have more such advice coming in the future. Thanks a lot.